Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classic slash Non-Classic. This is episode number 1461 and Doubleshot number 1355. This one is basically going to be a mixture of digital stuff and physical stuff. Now, the first trade kind of discussed here is going to be Incredible Hulk Planet Hulk Prelude. That's what the trade is called. But the thing is, the website I've been trying to upload it on has had issues, so I decided, screw it. Just read the individual issues, review the individual issues themselves. Now, in the actual trade itself, it just contains Fantastic Four 533 to 535 and Incredible Hulk Volume 2 issues 88 to 91. First, let's start off with Fantastic Four 533. This basically is the reason why, well, what happened with Planet Hulk, which I'll discuss that. Yeah, this is just a three-part done by JMS. Yes, JMS. Like, here's kind of the strange thing comes JMS, John Michael Straczynski. When you think of his time at Marvel, what series do you think of when you think of his time at Marvel? Amazing Spider-Man, Thor, and you're probably thinking, that's it? Yeah, that's only two people probably can think of. People tend to forget he also worked on Fantastic Four. Yep, he worked on this book for a certain period of time. Let me look up and see how long he was in the book for, because I don't think he was in the book very long. No, let me take a look here. Let's see. Now, of course, JMS is also known for being the creator of Babylon 5. Yeah, he's known for creating that too. But his Fantastic Four work is basically a book that not a lot of people talk about. No, not really. It's kind of interesting, though. Oh, yeah, he also worked on Supreme Power. But in the case of his Marvel work, like Some Amazing Spider-Man, Supreme Power, his run Fantastic Four was actually not that long. You're probably thinking, really? Yeah, it's pretty short. It starts from 527, ends with 541. And you're probably thinking, okay, who took over the book right after he left? Well, after JMS left, it was Dwayne McDuffie. Yes, Dwayne McDuffie took over the book from 540 to 563. Yeah, there was a few writers that came after him. You got Dwayne McDuffie, Stan Lee did an issue or two, and then Mark Millar. A couple issues by a different writer, Joe Hick. I think it is. And the last one before his brief relaunch is John Hickman. Yep. Before him, he took over from Mark Waid and Carl Kitzler. Yeah. Those two guys basically wrote the book where he did. And this is pretty much a few of the issues he actually worked on. Yeah, and it's interesting, though, that this run was actually pretty short. Now, this three-parter is simply put the Fantastic Four fighting the Hulk in Las Vegas. He also turns gray and he loses all of his hair. And it's because with this three-parter, apparently some people, some particular men thought, like, oh, we had enough of the Hulk. Let's send him to space. Yeah, this three-parter justification for that. Yep. And despite the fact it's called Happenings in Vegas, that's basically what this particular three-parter is called. Yeah, and it's just basically Fantastic Four take on the Hulk for 3 issues. Yep. That's simply what the three-parter is. And then, of course, like, despite the fact that end up on a happy note, we then move on to Incredible Hulk, Volume 2, 88 through 91. This is done by Daniel Way. He was the guy who preceded, well, the next writer in the book, Peace in Our Time. Simply put, for this four-parter, which is basically set up for Planet Hulk. Like, Hulk is basically like minding his own business, just trying to survive in the wilderness. And then he's contacted by Nick Fury. Yep, Nick Fury. Why is Nick Fury contacting him? Well, because apparently old Hydra satellite is in space, and apparently no one can take care of it. They tried a couple times, but they kept failing. So, this other Hulk is basically just minding his own business. Yeah. Of course, he's contacted at the end of the first part by Nick Fury. Now, I will explain in a bit, basically, the thing with this Nick Fury. So, he is sent to space to deal with this threat of this old Hydra satellite that apparently S.H.I.E.L.D. cannot take out. Yep, so they shoot him up into space. Yep. Yeah, they shoot him up into space in this special S.H.I.E.L.D. rocket. Yes, a S.H.I.E.L.D. rocket. Also, the way the artist draws Nick Fury, he looks. Now, this is supposed to be Nick Fury, but you look at this guy, you're probably thinking, that's not Nick Fury. I mean, his face is completely different. Yeah, that's how the artist draws him. The artist who draws the issues is Ken Cha. That's who draws the issues. So, after some talking, the Hulk agrees to go to outer space. Yep, doesn't need a spacesuit, just put an oxygen mask and he'll be perfectly fine. Because he's the Hulk, he can survive anything. And of course, then he's sent to outer space. Of course, you all see briefly the Black Widow in the background. Yes. Does she do anything in the issue? Nope, she doesn't. And, well, Hulk is off into space. And he battles whatever octopus thing this is. And it turns out that he was tricked by S.H.I.E.L.D. to take down an old S.H.I.E.L.D. satellite, not a Hydra satellite. Yeah, he was lied to. Yep. Oh, he's ticked off. The fact that Nick Fury tricked him. He's like, you liar! Yep. He ends up fighting the octopus, which forms like its own mini little space station around the Hulk. Over here is Rocket trying to take him out. And then we saw the formation of this mini satellite where the Hulk is on board. And he looks around the space station and there's this radiation on board. And apparently kills everybody. And then he comes across a weird looking robot. Yes, this thing. Yep, this robot. And S.H.I.E.L.D. has got nothing to do with this at all. Of course, this wraps up with the very next issue. Yeah, 91 is simply at the end of this three-parter. Oh, four-parter, actually. Yeah, and we also have Juan Sarkis, who does pretty much the last issue of this storyline. Where, like, Hulk's up there, let's just send him off into space, let's just basically send him away from Earth for a while. And so Hulk battles his robot for the last bit of this issue. Yep. And it's a fighting on the moon. Yes, the moon. And of course, space station exposed. And you're probably thinking, the moon. And where's the Watch all this? He's not seen it at all. Yep. Then he gets shoved, and he gets basically blasted to an escape pod. Yes, an escape pod. And then he heads off. Then he hears basically a transmission. Incoming transmission. Bruce, we are so sorry. You left us no choice. And the thing ends with, no! That's how the thing ends. Next. Oh, and by the way, I give this storyline, this whole thing, a 9 out of 10. Which leads to this awesomeness. Planet Hulk. I got this straight in today. This is the complete collection of this thing. Of course, this is written by Greg Pak. One of the 2 story arcs he did for this particular run. Yeah, his first run was not as long as his second or third run for this book. Yep. This actually came out in 2006, believe it or not. Yes, 2006 when it was released. Of course, unlike Planet Hulk Prelude, which was 88-91 of this particular book, and of course the 3 Fantastic Four, but that was it. This book contains issues, Incredible Hulk Volume 2 issues 92 to 105. You ever heard of an actual volume nowadays lasting 100 issues? No. The Planet Hulk Guidebook, which simply gets full details on the backstory of the planet Sakaar. We also have material from Fantasy 15, which is... That story is just it's just the debut of Amadeus Cho. That's simply what it is. And as for Giant Size Hulk, it's a story that takes place during the events of Planet Hulk. So, if you've seen the Planet Hulk movie, it's very similar to that, except they cut it off just before the end of the thing. Yep. So, Hulk arrives, of course they do make some changes to it. Now there's one character who appears in this storyline who does not appear in the movie. I'll get to him. And the way this plays out, it's like very similar to that of Thor Ragnarok, where you have Hulk arriving on the planet, and he gets taken captive by the aliens in the world, basically because apparently their weapons actually hurt him. And he's made into a gladiator. Give, of course, a combat disc where he has to fight combat. He, of course, meets Meek, Korg, an unnamed brood. Kame, I think her name is. That she's a red skin alien. And of course, during the course of the storyline, become his warbound. We also debut of Claire Oldstrong. A woman becomes very important here. We also have the debut of the Red King. Now, the Red King is the main villain of the storyline. Yes, a storyline that is 14 issues. Yes, a 14-part storyline that's broken up into several different story arcs. You have Exile, Banner War, Anarchy, Allegiance, Armageddon, Mastermind Elixo. That's, I think it's the backup story from Giant Says Hulk, and Planet Cho, which is, well, Amadeus Cho. These are your artists for these issues. Aaron Lipsy, Carla Padilla, Michael N. Oming, Alex Neal, Michelle Rogers, Marsh Rogers, excuse me, Gary Frank, Tasaki Makawa, and that's it. So, Hulk traveling the world, participates in gladiatorial combat, and then he meets up with an old friend. Now, in the Planet Hulk movie, it was Beta Ray Bill. Yeah, there was a reason for that because of Fox. Yeah, there was legal reasons over the actual person who shows up in this storyline. And a lot of people were questioning why the heck was he even freaking here. Of course, they later explained with some device that brought him here and the Hulk later on in the storyline. Yes, a device that brought him here. Also established via this a retcon, this backstory, that Korg, the alien Rockman, he was one of the guys who fought Thor in his debut appearance. Yep, he was one of the guys who fought Thor. And then we see the Silver Savage. Who could this guy be? Let's get a picture of him. It's the Silver Surfer! Yep, the Silver Surfer is here. Yeah. You're probably thinking, why the heck is the Silver Surfer here? It makes no frickin' sense. Well, the thing is, in the case of Hulk, it makes more sense for him to be here than Beta Ray Bill. Beta Ray Bill is more common with Thor than he does with than Thor has with Silver Surfer. You see, Silver Surfer has known Hulk since the 70s. Since they're members of the Defenders. That's how long they know each other. For a long time. And he ends up briefly fighting him. And then he teams up with him. To, like, he later frees that disc that he basically frees everybody of it. But he doesn't go back to Earth. He says, oh yeah, I can jump off Earth if you want to. He's like, nah, I'll stay here. And then he, well, since he doesn't have the disc anymore, he proceeds to break out of the arena and start a rebellion against the Red King. And of course, he had this period of time where he bonds with his warbound, both in the combat arena and of course also on the outside. Meek becomes king of his people. The Brood who pops up in here, it's an unnamed Brood who becomes Meek's mate. And then, of course, we have Claire Oldstrong. She plays a big role in this storyline. And she later turns against the Red King when he tries to kill her. So she sides the Hulk, and they team with each other to fight to take down the Red King. And the Red King himself was not taken out by the Hulk, mind you. He was taken out by Meek, of all people. Yes, he's actually beheaded. And with the Red King's death, Hulk is proclaimed the new king of Sakaar. Yep. And Claire Oldstrong is not his bodyguard. Now, in the movie, become his wife, and of course they just gradually become it becomes a little more natural instead of just saying, oh yeah, you become my wife, it's basically my bodyguard. And then he briefly turns back into Bruce Banner, something he does not do in the Planet Hulk movie. Nope, doesn't in the movie at all. And of course you have a happy life for about 2 issues, and then an explosion happens in the finale for this storyline, where a lot of the population is killed, except for Hulk, the Warbound, and like a small number of the population. Because a lot of the population was eliminated thanks to this particular threat. As for who's responsible for this, well, it's blamed on the Illuminati. Yes, the Illuminati. So, Hulk basically gathers up his troops and heads to Earth to smash it. Yep, smash it. And thus leading to the events of World War Hulk. Yep, this is an excellent storyline. It's like a big epic 2-part movie. And just really good. Now, fun little factoid about this storyline when it was originally released. I think it was originally released Let me. If I'm not mistaken, this was released originally as a. I think it was released as a two-part trade originally. Yes, and then later on they made it a complete edition of this thing. Mm-hmm. Actually, no, it was always like this. So, but this is actually, I think it's a new printing at this point because this one seems fairly recent. Yeah, it's a new printing that came out about 4 years ago. My only guess is the reason why they get this book into printing because the storyline was loosely adapted for Thor Ragnarok. Yep, this storyline is fantastic, and I'm gonna give this book a 10 out of 10. It's excellent and classic storyline. This storyline was coming out just a couple years into me reading comics. And believe it or not, this came out 15 years ago. 15 years. Like, it started 15 years ago, and the last issue was released, I think it was like 14 years ago. I think it was. Yeah, 14 years ago. Yeah, started publishing in April 2006 and finished up in June of 2007. Yep. But this was an excellent storyline. Yes, really good. And it did have a couple follow-ups. Basically, you have some what-if stuff. You have stuff related to Secret Wars, which is actually not done by Greg Pak and Sam Humphries. Of course, also, there is the sort of in-name sequel to this with Planet Hulk 2 as part of the Marvel Legacy numbering coming 10 years after the storyline concluded. Yep, 10 years later we have Amadeus Cho go to the new Sakaar to deal with basically what was on there. Unlike this story where this was 14 parts, Planet Hulk 2 was a 5-parter. Yeah, my guess is Greg Pak probably didn't want to basically just overshadow or just retread what he did in the original storyline. Because this is really good. Like, if you're a Hulk fan, I highly recommend checking this out. But also, if you're a fan of Greg Pak's work, you definitely want to check it out because it is so good. But I do recommend first checking out Planet Hulk Prelude first because that leads into this very storyline. Yes. As people were responsible for sending the Hulk into space, this is a group made up of Reed Richards, Iron Man, yes, Iron Man, Hank Pym, I think Hank Pym was part of this group this time. It was Professor Xavier, Namor. Let's see if I can find him here because it was basically the Illuminati basically responsible for sending the Hulk into space. Okay, the original lineup was Reed Richards, Namor, Doctor Strange, Black Bolt, Iron Man, and Charles Xavier. Though, here's kind of something interesting though about this. This vote was taken in New Avengers Illuminati number 1. Now, in the actual story itself, Charles Xavier was not there at the meeting, purely because he was dealing with the events of dissemination, so he was absent for it. And while Iron Man, Black Bolt, Doctor Strange, and Reed Richards did both the same amount of space, the only one that said no was Namor. He's the only one who said no. Excuse me. And this is we find interesting though. Namor was never attacked in World War Hulk. Like Iron Man, Reed Richards, they were attacked. Doctor Strange, like, don't call me back. And of course, Black Bolt got the crap beat out of him as their World War Hulk. But it was later revealed as a lead into Secret Invasion that the Black Bolt at this meeting was a Skrull. Yep, it was in fact a Skrull. Which there's kind of a reason for that. Because Illuminati came together after the aftermath of the original Kree Squad from the 70s. Yeah, this was a Bendis idea to create this group. So later on, the course, they later came back several times afterwards. Mostly with the same lineup, but with some replacements. Like later on, Black Panther got added to the team. And Charles Xavier got replaced with Beast because he died. And Black Bolt was briefly replaced with his wife, Medusa, before he came back to life. And of course, they also added people like Hank Pym, Captain Britain. They had a bunch of people to this group. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a pretty big-sized group for the Illuminati. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but not much else to say about this group. It's just quite interesting. And in the case of Planet Hulk, awesome event. I give Planet Hulk, like I said, 10 out of 10. Okay, so that's a particular review. Stay tuned for my review later on today for my review of Doctor Who. Okay, next video.